Ça va, nous sommes.
Magandang hapon, magandang umaga, magandang tanghali sa lahat ng viewers natin from many different parts of the world. Magandang gabi sa inyong lahat. Maraming salamat na tayo ay nandito na naman. Marami na pong nagro-roll call na po ako ng attendance. Si Prado nandiyan na, Meg Suzuki is in the stream, Austria, Orland, and marami pang iba, Narcisa, Gemma, Fitz, Maria. Ayan, nilalagay ko na lang po para kayo ay makita ng lahat ng tao na nandito kayo sa ating stream ngayong gabi. Thank you very, very much for joining us again in our YouTube Live. You are not on TV, you are not on radio, you are in the best place in the world. YouTube channel ng Salveses, Facebook, nandun din tayo, nasa Kumu din tayo. At maraming salamat sa pag-follow nyo sa atin. Ngayong gabi, I have several big surprises. Meron tayong dalawang awesome guests, isang Gen Z ba to? Gen Z or millennial? Hindi na ako marunong mag-identify kung anong generation, pero pareho yata silang Gen Z, and they're both great inspirations for everybody who want to learn how to grow wealth the right way and the most awesome way. So thank you sa kanilang dalawa. Mamaya ipapakilala ko sila sa inyo. Bago ko po ipaalam sa inyo ang napakalaking coming out party ng aking kaibigan ngayong gabi, magpapakilala muli tayo. Ang pangalan ko po ay si Salve Duplito. Isa akong in my during the daytime, ako ay isang TV host, writer, and financial advisor. Meron po tayong show sa ABS-CBN News Channel called On the Money. Pang 9th year na po niya ngayon. But dahil napapansin natin na marami pang nangangailangan ng financial information, sumugod na rin po tayo sa iba-ibang places in the internet to provide financial education para yumaman ang mas marami nating kababayan. And tonight, because I created this, I have a 25-year dream of creating more synergy so that financial education is affordable and accessible sa maraming mga kababayan natin all over the world. I have created this company called Empower and Transform. And one of my first acquisitions na talent ay isang mabuting kaibigan, and he is as passionate about financial education just like me. At hindi niya lang gusto makausap ang mga mayayaman or middle class, gusto niya rin kausapin lahat ng aspeto ng lahat ng mga Pilipino, kasama na po ang nandoon sa tinatawag nating bottom of the pyramid. Tonight is his coming out party. He will now be Transformer number 2 of Empower and Transform. Ipapaakyat ko na po ang aking co-host ngayong gabi, si Warren De Guzman. Hi, Warren!
Hi, Salve. Hello to everybody.
Yan, palakpakan po natin si Warren for finally coming out with his passion also. Warren, handa ka na ba? Dahil alam ko,
Nako,
sanay na
nako.
sanay ka. Nagti-TV patrol ka kung saan-saan ka nila nakikita. But why do you want to become a financial advisor? And you already are. And why are you passionate about pagpapakalat ng kaalaman sa pagpapayaman?
Nako, Salve. Unang-una, salamat sa very warm welcome. I really feel the love. And I hope I can do justice to your expectations for me. I hope I can do well with EAT. Now, alam mo, in my day job as a reporter, I go around, I talk to a lot of people, men on the street, people who are, everyday people dealing with yung mga hardships na talagang nararanasan ng lahat, yung mga mataas na bilihin, yung mga problema sa trabaho, yung problema sa pandemya, and it just breaks your heart to learn about what's going on with them and why they can't get out of their rut that they're in, na nahihirapan sila kasi wala silang savings, wala silang idea kung paano mag-save, wala silang idea para i-control yung earnings or yung earnings and yung expenses nila. Mostly gastos lang ang alam nila, at saka whatever it is they do to earn money. So I really want to make a difference, and alam ko marami ring ibang tao na gusto rin tumulong, kaso lang ang daming nahihirapan ngayon, di ba? Ang 100 million Filipinos, everybody needs to do their part in helping all Filipinos really become better with their own personal finances. So I'm really glad to be here. I'm really glad to be a part of EAT, Empower and Transform. So let's get going.
Alright, thank you so much, Warren. Nakakataba ng puso na naniniwala ka sa ating advokasya. Yung dalawang guests natin ngayong gabi are the same. There's a very young lady na siya ang ikaw na nga mag-introduce, di ba? Sige, go,
Okay, sige,
introduce mo na
sige.
siya.
I just watched her video. It's doing very well on YouTube. 100,000 views. Malaking bagay yan. Charm De Leon. She's behind Ready to Adult Philippines. And one of her videos, I tripled my savings. She gives tips on how to do that. That's something that everybody wants to learn, how to save more. Charm De Leon, come on in.
Pasok na, pasok. Hi,
Ayan.
Charm.
Everyone, good evening.
Thank
Hi,
you for
Jen
joining our
Sandra.
stream. Hello, Charm. Nagkakilala kami ni Charm sa Job Street PH na show. At na-amaze talaga ako sa kanyang content on YouTube. So I invited her. Actually, yung Job Street ngayon din omere kanina.
Yeah.
So para magkasama tayo buong araw, Charm. So very quickly, Charm, one of your best received videos was about how you tripled your savings. And I think, Warren, no, ngayong pandemya kasi naramdaman ng mga tao yung pait ng walang emergency funds. Okay? Karamihan ng tao gusto mag-invest sa stock market, but we always say, kung wala kang emergency savings at yung emergency savings mo, nilagay mo sa stock market, sasabihin ng guest natin mamaya, that's very risky, diba? Pero Charm, how did you do it? How did you triple your savings?
For me, it was really some budgeting rules lang that I followed. So, yung backstory nun, I was telling Sir Warren earlier, before the live, I was a victim of lifestyle inflation. So, I was earning a decent amount naman, but a few years into working, I was not saving anything. I was looking at my bank account, and it's the same when I was before I started working. So I was like, what's happening? So kaya pala, it's because I kept eating out. Yun yung number one. Almost every day I kept eating out, and then I kept traveling, all over the Philippines. Tapos, these were things that I could not afford before. So, obviously, there was a rise because I was parang culture shock that I was earning and earning already my own money, after college, ganon. So I started learning about personal finance online. So the main takeaways that I got from there, I made into this video, which I talked about 5 points. So if I can go through quickly the 5 points I was talking about, it really revolved around budgeting. So tracking your expenses, number one. So obviously yun talaga the first thing I tell my current audience right now is to track your expenses. You don't know what, if you don't know what you're working with, how can you move forward, diba? And the next is, um, since you already know your expenses, cut back on the things that you can cut back on. So in my case, I decided to cut back on traveling and eating out. So obviously, yung mga needs, necessities, also being a breadwinner, I can't cut those out of my life. So the next is number three, try to increase your income. So me at the time, I had around three sources of income, siguro two or three. Right now, I built my sources of income to be around 9 or 10. Sorry. So yeah, around 9 or 10 na siya ngayon. So
Grabe.
yeah, kasi no matter how much you try to cut back on your expenses, you just can't increase your savings. You can only increase your savings so much, diba? So your income also really needs to increase. So the
Parang
next,
kaya mo yan, 10 sources of income, parang parang hirap yan. Eh, masakit
Nainggit
na.
nga ako, nainggit ako,
it
nainggit ako.
sounds a lot, pero yung iba maliit lang yung annual returns doon. But yeah, there's still technically naman. So yeah, so the fourth one is the one I said in the Job Street interview din, Miss Alves, to really save first. So when I heard about this formula, I was so mind blown. Like, ganun lang pala kasimple. I was doing before, when I get my income, expenses agad, all the bills, and then I feel like, oh, I'm working so hard, I have to treat myself, diba? Kasi I'm paying so many bills, ganon. So, what's left of it is my savings, but that's not always the best for, that's never the best for your savings. So, I just switched it out. I did income minus savings, tapos expenses. So, yun lang. Very simple. Income minus savings equals expenses. Tapos, it made a huge difference. I think that was the biggest difference in my savings habit. And then lastly, pay off your debt. That's my advice. During the time I had a car loan, but I had it for 2 years, so I didn't pay it off. I still followed the schedule. Pero this point of mine is because I notice a lot of people who want to jump into investing, even if they have major credit card debt or major lending debt, or mga 5 6 ganon. And if you think about it, you can never catch up with the interest of those high interest debt with your um for example, stock market, you get 5-10% annually for the average person. Of course, if you're a stock trader, you can do so much more than that, but for the average person, it's not realistic if you're paying off 30% on credit card debt, tapos you're just getting 10% from your investments. So I really recommend to pay off your debts first. So that's the five things I did.
Makikisingit ako ha. Makikisingit lang ako, Char.
Of course,
Mag-uusap
Miss
muna ang ate at kuya Warren at ate Salve mo dito. Parang itong mga kinukwento ni Charm, it takes most people 30 years to learn all of those things, di ba? Parang mga 40 years
Absolutely.
old. Nakakatawa, pero
Yeah,
ang bata-bata mo pa.
yeah, if you
Yeah.
look at Charm, you think she looks like she's in high
College.
school and she already has these things figured
Yeah,
out
I
na,
get
di ba?
that.
Parang why didn't I do that when I was young, di ba? So, ang galing talaga.
Young pa tayo.
Of course.
Yes, yes.
Young pa
So,
rin.
so Charm, thank you so much for everything that you shared. I'm going to bring in our next guest who will tell us na ang mga information about investments will also they have to be founded on what you talked about. Alright? Bata rin to. Hindi mo to kuya. Parang kaedaran mo lang. To si Edmund Lee. Let's bring in Edmund Lee. He's the President and CEO of Caylum Trading Corporation. Tama ba, Edmund? And guys, lagi nyo to nakikita sa television. Lagi siyang guest ng Market Edge, Bloomberg, CNN, Philippines, sabihin mo na kung saan-saan. And he's always on stage talking about how to trade better, how to have a system so that you don't lose permanent, you don't have permanent loss of capital in the market. Pero meron kayong hindi alam kay Edmund na alam ko. Marunong to sumayaw, mga besh. Tama ba? Sorry, Edmund, sinabi ko na sa buong mundo. Nakita ko yun eh.
10 years na kita kilala. Hanggang ngayon, Gen Z pa rin ako.
Okay, so guys, si Edmund Lee is very young, but he knows a lot because his family, of course, is in the business of investments, no? Edmund, we asked you here today to level up the discussion on investments because everybody, after they learn about what Charm has done, they want immediately to go into investments kasi sexy talaga yun, especially during the pandemic. Tama ba, Warren? Si Warren din eh. Excited na
Yeah,
excited sa
absolutely.
investing. Alright.
Actually, alam mo yung nangyari sa pandemic, 'di ba? Nagbagsakan yung mga stock. So lahat ng mga brokers, yung mga investor gurus nagsasabi, now is the time to invest. Ano nangyayari? May pang-invest ka ba, 'di ba? 'Di ba nakakainis, nakakagigil. It's the time to invest. Do you have money to invest?
Tama. But two very important topics in the world of investments now. Number one is Bitcoin. Alam ko lahat ng nakikinig ngayon, grabe yung interest on how to deal with this massive movement in cryptocurrencies. Just in the last 5 days, grabe yung movement ng price ng Bitcoin. Nakita ko sa Google, so ginugol ko talaga. 1 Bitcoin, you need 2.7 million pesos just to buy 1 Bitcoin. Edmund Lee, ano sa tingin mo?
I think what you're seeing today is very common actually all over the world. More people are stuck at home. More people want to speculate. And I think tama naman lahat ng sinabi ni Charm kanina, diba? You want to find a source of income for you to make your money also work for you in that regard, diba? So how I see things is that when you're speculating, you want to speculate in something siguro you're comfortable with it, right? And whether it's a good quality company or a good quality asset. And so, for example, like Bitcoin, really, for me, it's really like how I see it as a painting, how I see it as, for example, like gold. And for me, that intrinsic value is much more difficult to determine. That's why this investment is really not for me. But I understand why you want to put, let's say, like 1% of your capital in it as an insurance, for example. So it really depends on the individual on that regard. It's mostly driven by supply and demand. Kasi wala naman supply eh. So pag walang supply, konti lang yung supply, I mean finite lang yung supply, kahit anong presyo, pwede naman yan eh, di ba? So for me, I'd rather buy investments siguro that I can understand, I can actually feel or I actually use, di ba? Marami naman negosyo na ginagamit mo araw-araw na available for you to buy, and I feel like those are better option.
Yeah, very very nice. Babalikan kita, Edmund. Mag-hello lang ako sa mga viewers mo. So, marami po dito. May comment po si Bobby Sanchez. Financial discipleship coming from financially literate parents. Isa na dyan si Edmund. Di ba, Edmund? Tama ba? At magpapasalamat din po ako kay Charm. Nagpadala po siya ng Kumu Universe sa Kumu. Maraming salamat sa class, Pam. You're here again. Everywhere we go, you're there. We really appreciate the love that you're sending. Meron pong I'll just go through some of the comments very quickly, ha. Paano daw nagkaroon ng 9 to 10 income si Charm? Mamaya po, sasagutin niya ni Charm sa Q&A. So, type lang po kayo dyan ang mga questions nyo because we have a long, parang more than 10 minutes ng Q&A segment. Meron po tayong very important at very interesting guest sa stream, si Martha Vinsons. Hi, Tats! Siya
Hi,
ang
Martha.
reason kung bakit kung bakit ako nasa telebisyon. I still remember that day Martha called me, can you come to ABS-CBN para screen test ba tawag doon, Warren? Okay, so
Yep,
maraming
yep.
salamat.
Oo.
At sabi niya po, sabi ni Tats, you're rocking the long hair, Warren. So, Edmund, hindi ko lang alam
Ay,
kung
oo.
magpapa-long hair ka na rin. Magpapa-long hair ka na rin ba? Okay, so, Edmund is telling us about something very interesting, Warren. Ano? You invest in things you know. You invest in things you understand. And tama ba, Edmund? Kung gusto mo namang mag-speculate ng konti, anong dapat mong gawin? Kunwari, some people here, yes, they want to invest in things they know, but what if they want to get a little bit of the action? Is there a way for them to go into it without losing so much money?
I think when it comes to speculation, I don't tell people not to speculate. I think pag bata ka, no choice ka eh. Diba? Gusto mo talaga kumita ng maraming pera eh. Diba? I mean, everybody does. I don't blame you. But I think what's important is that you want to be more informed. I think that's the key word today. A lot of people kasi speculate, chismis lang eh. Uy, sabi ni ano, bili na tayo. Diba? Without really trying to understand what you're buying. So I think what's important, like you want to speculate or you want to invest, alamin mo naman kung anong bibili mo. So at least kahit paano, may idea ka kung anong mangyayari, whether 1 year, 2 years, 3 years down the road. Diba? Pagbibigyan mo kita eh. Basta at least you want to be as familiar as you can in whatever asset or whatever stock or whatever investment you're going to be going into. Diba? I think it goes not just for stocks, pero maraming P2P, for example, sa agri-farming, diba? Whether it's in what do you call that? Yung mga shared investments or whatsoever. Marami yan eh, 'di ba? At least at the end of the day, 'di ba? Alamin mo naman kung anong ginagawa mo kaysa bibigay ka ng pera sa ibang tao tapos tiwala na lang, 'di ba? Tapos pag bumagsak sisisihin mo sila, 'di ba? Yan ang problema.
Kumusta ka, Warren, dyan?
Absolutely,
Si Warren talaga
absolutely.
just,
Ang dami kong, oh my God, ang dami kong storya with the SEC. You know, these people, these scammers, they prey on ignorance. If you don't know what you're getting into, you are very vulnerable. Pwede kang lokohin, di ba? Pwede lang sabihin, oh, this is how this earns money. Tapos, ano, hocus-pocus na pala. Eh, if you want to, if you feel like you don't want to lose face, you want to look like you know what you're talking about, so you just say, sige, I know all about that. Let's go. Biyan na kita ng pera, di ba? It doesn't make any sense. You ask that person, ask them, paano ba yan talaga? Explain mo nga sa akin. Though that question can save so many people so much money. I agree 100% with Edmund.
oh, you raise a very good point kasi, Warren, ano, there are platforms where you can buy and sell cryptos legit. Pero marami din na hindi. So mag-iingat kayo. Kasi even in forex trading, merong platform na legit. Meron ding platform na hindi. Basta nagbigay na sila ng guaranteed return, magtaka ka na. Because you're not really spending your money on cryptos or you're not really doing forex trading. It's just a place where people go to and then they get scammed. Diba? So be very careful. Magkaiba pang usapin yun. Alright, so I think we have several, paano malalaman na hindi siya scam? Meron pong katanungan dito. Diretso na ba tayo sa Q&A portion? Pwede na natin papasukin si Charm because there are a lot of questions also for Charm here. So we'll put everybody in the stream. Maraming salamat sa time mo, Edmond. Pero wag ka muna alis dahil ang daming tanong para sa'yo, Edmond. Ito ha. Paano daw malalaman na hindi siya scam? Simulan natin kay Kuya Edmond. Ikaw na kunwari ang pinaka matanda dito in terms of experience in investments. Okay, paano malalaman na hindi scam?
I think mas familiar ka pa nga sa tanong na yan eh, pag hindi scam eh. Sanay na sanay ka na eh. I mean, you've been trying to expose a lot of scam corporations, diba? Throughout your entire career also.
Oo, ang dami kong haters, Edmond, alam mo yan. Binumura nila ako on social media kasi I kept exposing, even when I was still in business world and Inquirer, I kept exposing scams. One time, I had a story about, I don't know if you remember this, Frank Swiss. And Swiss francs, there were a lot of rich people who put money in that forex trading platform, pero scam pala siya. And hindi siya, the government couldn't put it down. until that banner story in Inquirer came out. That's when all of a sudden, yung pag-withdraw ng mga tao ng investments, dun talaga siya tumiklop. Because this is the thing about scams. Once they, ikaw talaga, Edmund, tuloy nasagot ko na. Dapat ikaw to eh. Once, once, parang binato niya lang sa akin yung bola, no? Parang badminton, tapos binato mo sa akin para ako na. Basta merong high guaranteed returns, consistent high guaranteed returns, I think you need to be very careful because there's no investment opportunity on the planet that can provide you with that. There's always some risk. Kahit nga sa pagmamahal, may risk. May hugot, di ba? O, si Charm nakatawa. Totoo naman, tawa-tawa kayo dyan, pero totoo, di ba? Basta nagbigay ng ganong klaseng offer, be very careful because that's most likely not true. Charm, ano yung pwede mong ipasok na insight dito? Because you also teach about this.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Yun talaga. I think people assume that 10% a month is common for investing because I've been thinking lately that investing has been glamorized in a way that they can skip budgeting. They can skip trying to increase their income, which is the capital of what they would invest, 'di ba? So ang daming tao, that's what they ask me. Like, it's not bad to want to invest. It's not at all. It's one of the things I advocate, of course. But let's do it the right steps. So, ganun. Like, if someone promises you 10% monthly returns, 'di ba? Even the big funds can't even guarantee 10% annual return. That's even high for a lot of funds, 'di ba? So, I think that's the telltale sign of it. If they promise that to you, if they're not registered in SEC, regulated by BSP, or similar things like that, not all investment naman, but similar things like that, legitimate government agencies don't regulate them. That's also one of those. So you can find those things online with one search of Google. So yeah.
Just to add
And
that
dami
kind
na,
of something.
yes. Go ahead.
So it's not just about that. I think if you look at some of these forex brokers and whatsoever, it's not just that they're not licensed altogether. How these guys actually make money are like what we call bucketing shops. So yung bucketing shop, binalaban ka nila. So kung buying ka, selling sila. Tapos ina-assume nila over time, matatalo ka, parang casino yan eh. And then over time, they win, you lose. Parang that's how these guys make money. They're usually playing against you. Eh. So I just like to share to people like just be extra careful taking all these brokerages that don't deliver straight to the exchange. So usually these guys are providing what we call CFDs. So it's like a derivative, but in reality, most of these guys are playing against you, and we call these guys bucketing shops. So mag-ingat na lang kayo.
Very good information. Okay, partner Warren, may karagdagan ka pang katanungan dito before we go to Edmund's hot stock segment.
Yeah, I just wanted to share, that I agree with Charm and Edmund. And one thing that that people assume about investing is kasi pag titingnan nila yung mga investors, nakita nila yung mga mayayaman na tao, tapos palaro-laro lang sa stocks, ina-assume nila na madali lang itong gawin. And you know what, we need to break that that view. It's not true. It's hard. People like Edmund, they work very hard at their jobs. The fund managers, they're working overnight just to produce returns for their clients. This is hard work. Hindi siya madali. So kung sinasabi ng mga tao na madali ito, 100% ito, makikita ka ng malaki, nako, these
milyonarya ka na agad-agad. So, parang sinasabi nila after a couple of months, milyonarya ka na, di ba? Si Edmund, pagising niya ng umaga, nakadikit na yung mukha niya sa Bloomberg's terminal. Tama ba, Edmund?
I think it's human nature talaga di ba? I mean, especially when you're young, di ba? Gusto mo naman talaga yumaman ka agad di ba? I mean, I think it's normal that a lot of people want to take shortcuts also. Di ba? And I don't blame them, di ba? sometimes you have to get burned before you realize na mahirap pala kumita ng pera, di ba?
Basta wag lang sa love. O, balik na naman ako. Wag magpapa-burn sa love. Okay. Marami pong katanungan. Babalik tayo sa Q&A segment. Pero sa ngayon, dahil masyado ko na-excite sa ating mga guests ngayon, nakalimutan ko po yung hot stock segment ni Edmund Lee. So, he has chosen one stock for tonight at i-breakdown niya sa akin, sa ating lahat, bakit siya hot stock. Ralph, pakishow po yung chart, yung mga slides na pinadala ni Edmund. So Edmund, take it away. Bakit ito ang hot stock natin ngayong gabi?
I think there's no question why you should be buying DNL. I think si Alvin lagi ata nasa segment mo. Alvin's a great guy, the great management, great family. The stock price went down substantially since COVID pandemic. And rightfully so, because their business really got hit, because majority of their business is from consumer demand. So when consumer demand, especially from hotels, Jollibee, eating out, most of it went down 70-80% in second quarter of the pandemic. This company was no exception. So this company basically is in present 70% of their business is in consumer products. So isipin mo, food ingredients, oil, specialty plastics, so on and so forth. They're all there. They're a chemical industry company, right? And so because of that, I think it's a great opportunity. They've been able to transform their business, and they were very nimble in adjusting their business. That in 3Q, in the next slide, if you notice, they already recovered from pandemic lows. In fact, 3Q, nag-grow na sila ng 4.1% year on year. It's double actually the second quarter. So how did they do it? Basically, it's just in health and wellness consumer products, and also in sanitary. So alcohol, they were able to maneuver their business and do that also. Not just that, but even their exports were up 58% in the third quarter. And I believe more than 30% of their revenues now are coming from the export or coming outside, because there's just a huge demand also for all their health and wellness products. One product that I always advocate and I still use today is their coconut, yung MCT oil nila. Fantastic product. You guys should buy it also. And another reason why you should be buying also is because of the CRADE bill, which is supposed to bring down corporate income tax from 30 to 25%. I think it's across the board naman, this deduction in corporate income tax. But nonetheless, I think DNL is still a forefront in benefiting as the market economy opens up, as the vaccine rolls out, and as more people go out. You don't realize that majority of the things that you do actually may product ng DNL doon. So
Patingin na ng chart. Tingnan natin yung chart niya. Meron pang next slide. Yeah, so people have an idea where the prices are now. Edmund and Charm and all the viewers, konting disclosure lang kami ni Warren because we both own this stock this is also part of our portfolio, so we're really trying to be objective here, diba? Pero Edmund, grabe. Charm, agree ka ba sa akin na titong-tito yung MCT? Inaamin mo na ba, Edmund, na tito ka na, nagbe-virgin coconut oil? Pero, so this is where the prices are. And I think Warren has a question also. Are you satisfied with how they pivoted, or could they have done more last year to recover faster?
No, I think the fact that they were able to recover this fast in 3Q, I think speaks a lot about management and their ability to move segments already from weaker utilization in the restaurant side all the way to producing sanitary alcohol. Ang bilis nila actually magtrabaho. So I think 4Q might be a little bit weaker kasi mahina ang demand from Christmas in general on the retail side. But I think 2021 should be back to growth year. And I think 2021 will probably be one of the first companies to go back to their 29 levels again. So we're pretty excited for it.
Si Warren, hinahanda niya na yung pondo niya.
Yeah. No. But yung question ko is more of general, no? Kasi when you look at the economy right now and consumption, it's really not there yet. Ano? And DNL is a consumer play. So how long are we going to see weakness in the market, and how long is that going to be? I mean, we can't be positive on this company just because it's consumer and we're really a consumption-based economy. Without, I don't know. You have to feel the confidence in the economy kasi, and right now it's not yet there, di ba?
Think of it this way. The economy is already, the consumer demand, for example, is already down 60, 70% na eh, diba? But they're still up 4%, for example, in 3Q. That's year over year. Ah. So even throughout the pandemic, they're still growing. Ah. So this is on top of their consumer side, in the food ingredient side, still down substantially year to date, right? So it's the other business segment that actually was compensating most of their losses that happened throughout the year. So think of it this way: if the retail side just went back to normal, you'll probably see this company grow at what, 15, 20% automatically, right? Eh, pangit pa nga yung consumer demand eh. So let's just make the assumption na matagal pa ito, di ba? You're still looking at the other segment that, and their export-oriented business that continues to grow. Outside, actually, if you look at coconut demand, coconut prices, they've actually had huge demand coming on that end also. So I think it's just a matter of time. And don't be too bearish in the economy, Warren. Babalik din yan.
Babalik din. Yeah. I agree.
Oy, oy.
You have to be
Tama,
hopeful.
tama. Siyempre naman, walang forever. Walang forever sa down economy. Charm, this is your chance to be a co-host in the stream. Go, magtanong ka lang din. Pero babalikan ko lang po muna ang ating mga questions from our viewers. Merong nagpadala ng numbers. Ayan, 725 daw ngayon ang DNL. Meron pong nagtanong, ano daw po ba yung DNL? Okay, the reason why people don't recognize this is DNL is a brand agnostic company. It's actually used by a lot of different brands kasi yung mga pinoproduce niya na yung mga products niya ay plastic, oils, mga chemicals that a lot of branded companies use. And actually, yan yung reason bakit binili ko siya in the first place a long, long time ago. Because if the economy benefits
Tama na.
from the demographic story, kasama na ang PNL doon. Sabi, okay, may warning po ako sa aking partner. Kailangan daw kami
Let's ask Charm. Charm is also invested.
Okay, medyo nag-freeze yata. Parang nag-freeze si Warren. Okay, everybody. Charm, meron ka daw bang sasabihin?
Actually, Warren was asking me earlier if I was holding DNL. And
Ikaw din?
this year talaga, no, I'm not. So this year, I'm really gonna aggressively put into my stocks. So that's definitely one of the stocks that I'm gonna look into.
Ala.
So thank you also.
Yeah. Ayan, meron.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
go ahead.
I've heard from some manufacturing companies that they're really attractive for the banks right now in terms of, let's say, loaning. So that's actually one industry that, despite the consumer industry not doing very well in the economy right now, that's still one of the stronger industries in the Philippines. And banks know that, so it makes sense that, investors should know that as well. So yeah.
Parang gusto ko nandito na si Edmund every Saturday. Okay, wait lang. Okay, meron tayong viewers from Oman.
Teka lang ha. Baka ako may kasalanan pag bumaba yan.
Hindi. Lagi naman tayo may disclaimer dito. Of course, all the opinion po ito ng ating mga guests. Nasa
Trade
sa
at
inyo
your own
talaga.
risk.
Yes, trade at your own risk. If you lose money, you can't blame any of us. You have to do your own due diligence, do your own studying, and make sure that you understand what you're putting your money into. Okay. May quick question lang. Wait, ito muna. Ayan, so I don't know what DNL, in-explain na po natin yan. Meron pong nagtatanong kay Charm very quickly, paano ka daw nagkaroon ng 9 to 10 sources of income?
Okay. So yeah, I said that I know it sounds a lot, but not all of those income are, I can live off of individually. So I have a few businesses. Right now I have 4 or 5 businesses. So I do get, salary or allowances or dividends from those businesses. So I've built that those businesses in not naman all in 1 year, diba? Like I tried my best to start one business or one to two businesses a year. So I had some businesses that failed, obviously, especially during the lockdown, diba? I've closed 40% of my businesses. So that comes with it. Luckily, during the lockdown, I found another source of income through online content creation. So through my YouTube channel, that brought me three more sources of income: ad revenue, affiliate, and sponsorships. So obviously, that's particular to what I'm doing right now with YouTube and Instagram and Facebook. And then I also
Charm,
do
napapagod
property.
ako. Nakikinig ako sa'yo.
Sorry.
Nakikinig
Sorry,
pa lang ako
sorry
sa'yo.
po.
Napapagod na ako.
Yeah, but
Okay.
basically it's really small steps lang. Small steps, like one of my income streams is property management. So I help people rent out their real estate.
Sipag.
So ang liit lang nun na it gives me a small percentage of their monthly rental. So
Sisingit lang ako, Charma. Sisingit lang ako
yeah,
sa'yo.
yeah.
Because this is the thing. Kuya Edmund at Kuya Warren, parang gusto ko siyang iharap sa UPJFA dati. Diba? Na kami ni Edmund nasa JF Junior Finance as ano? JFA in UP. There's a group there. I would love for young people to see you and how sipag you are. Kasi parang ang ilang oras lang meron sa isang araw pero ang dami mong nagagawa sa isang araw. Meron pong katanungan dito, Charm. Sorry, itutuloy ko lang dahil we only have a few minutes left. Should we join groups that are recommended by many people in ng mga grupo na nagre-recommend ng stock? Gusto ko itanong si Edmund dito. Sorry, Edmund, hot seat ka.
I think I always tell people na it's always good to know, right? I mean, you just try to keep an open mind. I think that's important also, as whether you're a businessman, or an investor, or people trying to learn more. I think that's always the important part about. I mean, there's nothing wrong with joining groups and learning about certain stocks, but at the end of the day, you still have to make that decision, diba? So you want to be like what I said a while ago. You want to try to educate yourself and find out why do they like it, diba? Minsan kasi hype lang eh. I mean, I don't know if you guys have been in Wall Street bets, ah. So let's say like they always post nonsense.
Reddit ba to? Reddit, GameStop ba to?
I use Reddit more than Facebook, eh. So I'm always entertained by these stuff that they post on Reddit, eh. Diba? Pero I mean, at the end of the day, alam mo naman, diba? Parang what are you buying? Hype lang eh, diba? So hindi mo nang bibilin eh. Diba?
Nakita mo yung GameStop nung nangyayari siya?
Of course.
When they were... si Warren humahagik-hik. Pero, Warren, basahin mo nga.
Oh my God.
Walang
Oh my
tulog
God.
yan.
Sobrang nakakainis ang nangyari doon sa GameStop, di ba?
Ala, Edmund, may nagtatanong dito kung pwede ka daw ba regular sa Salveses every Saturday.
Ayan, gusto ka nila, Edmund.
Okay lang, walang problema.
Alright. Warren, ito yatang question galing sa follower mo yan. Sige nga. Yan. Bakit daw sikat na sikat yung
Nasaan
mga
dito?
ano
I can't
to?
see it.
Ayan yan, it's there na on the screen. Bakit po sobrang sikat ngayon ng mga third liner stocks?
Ayan. Bakit sobrang sikat ng mga third? Okay, so third liner stocks. Edmund can actually answer this kasi, di ba, he looks at those. And well, actually, professional fund managers actually don't look at third liners most of the time kasi napakaliit lang ng value nila. And you can buy a lot of it with a small amount of money. And the volume, because mura lang yung stock, napaka-volatile niya. With konting bili lang ng mga group, mga fund ganun. It's so volatile, and it can shoot up and shoot down very quickly. So it's popular among traders, day traders, kasi high in volatility, so high opportunity to earn. Diba? Pero that's really a tough thing to get into kasi unang-una yung third liner stocks na yan, they're attached to a lot of companies that you probably never heard of. probably don't have any operations yet. These companies, they might be shell companies. They're just very volatile. They're usually the subject of a lot of chismis. Yan yung kaya sila popular. Yung
Oy,
pag
Edmond, totoo nga,
nakikinig ka
mga
sa chismis on
traders.
the stock market.
Ayun na nga.
Edmond, talk about it.
Si Warren, stock market reporter to ng napakatagal. Kaya alam na alam ni Warren at Edmond yung paghahanap ng chismis sa market. Edmond, paano ba to? Chismis lang ba yan? Paano ba tayo kikita dyan? Yan
So
lagi
I'll
tanong
tell
ng
you,
mga tao.
it's not just happening in the Philippines, all over the world ito. Promise. You go to Hong Kong, you go to the US, kung feeling mo maraming basura sa Philippines, mas maraming basura sa labas. Right? It's just human nature talaga that people like to speculate into the potential. Just on that fact, uy, may potential to mag times 10. Right? Just on that fact, that alone will drive people to participate in certain stocks. Right? What we're seeing today is actually the rise of the retail trader. So there's more people stuck at home. Even people who are in college, nasa bahay lang din di ba? And more people, you'll see that are opening accounts, funding it, and the first thing that they buy is a company that they just heard on Facebook. Ganon talaga, right? I'll be honest, like my dad always shares this story, diba? Parang when he started, he also did the same thing, right? But he learned, right? So some people, I mean, you keep on telling people, uy, mainit yan, huwag mong hawakan yan. Hindi mo naman malalaman pag hindi mo naman hinawakan eh. Yeah. So it's very similar in this regard, right? So a lot of things just really have to do with human behavior, human emotions, right? I mean, as much as possible, we try to educate, diba? But at the end of the day, syempre, everything's buyers beware.
I agree. I totally agree. I'll just read a lot of the comments, sir. Sobra pong daming viewers natin. Maraming salamat po sa lahat ng nanonood ngayon. Feeling ko nagno-notes kayo. Very good. At ito talaga ang coming out party ng partner kong si Warren de Guzman. Meron pong nanonood from Italy, from Middle East, ito na nga. Okay, meron pong nagko-comment na volume investing will make you wealthy but do your research and study diligently. Tama nang sinasabi ni Edmond, minsan hanggat hindi kayo nasusunog, hindi kayo matututo. Pero sinasabi ni Bobby Sanchez, pag nag-third liner ka, sa malamang sunog ka. I'll just read some of these very interesting
Can I just add something really quick?
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
I noticed that there's so many people all over the world participating here. We have people from Italy, from different parts of diba? There's some individuals that I know, right, especially OFWs, who put all their money into speculative stocks, right? And some, like kawawa talaga, there are some individuals that shown me their portfolio down 2 million, down 3 million. Pero pag tinignan mo, basura lang binili niya. Diba? That's why I share to people. This is hard-earned money you guys did over the last 15, 20 years of your lifetime. And you're willing to put it all in a company that you have absolutely no idea what it does, right? So, I mean, try to, right? This is kawawa talaga. So you might as well do your due diligence, do your homework, right? It's not as difficult as what you think it is, right? And look at stuff from a bigger perspective instead of trying to focus on how I can double, how I can triple, or how I can times 10 my money in the next year, diba? Try to buy companies or invest in companies that are actually decent and growing companies.
And with that, this funny question, can we know details of Edmund's background, the paintings? Okay, sasagutin niya po yan sa susunod na guesting niya, kaya kailangan mag-tune in kayo ulit. Abangan niyo po sa Salveses ang information tungkol sa dalawang painting sa likod ni Edmund. Okay, at before I close, meron ito, ibibitinin ko na kayo. Para siguradong babalik kayo sa Salveses, meron pa nagtatanong, dangerous daw ba ang specs at hype? Malalaman natin yan ulit sa susunod. Pero Edmund, ito daw, kailangan daw ba ng broker para meron mag-guide sa'yo kung paano ang pag-i-invest? Sasagutin niyo rin po yan. Ngayon na ba, Edmund? Can I give you like 30 seconds to answer this question?
Meron. Kumuha ka ng broker. Pangalan niya YouTube. What I'm saying is that all information today is online. YouTube. You really don't have an excuse not to do things by yourself. I mean, it's your money. Might as well put it in your hands, not in somebody else's hands. Right?
Okay, all right. With that, maraming salamat. Thank you, Charm. Thank you, Edmund. And partner, meron ka bang panghuling pananalita?
Nako, I want to say thank you to our guests, Charm and Edmund. Napakagaling na mga, the work you guys do, it's amazing. The YouTube videos for Charm and for Edmund, syempre, in the professional investing community. Keep it up, guys. We really need more people helping Filipinos to understand how the stock market can empower them and build towards their future. So thanks so much for coming on to the show.
Alright, maraming
Thank you.
salamat. And with that, konting photo op lang. Okay, medyo paganda muna tayo. No? Si Edmund kasi maganda na yan eh. Okay. Alright, 1, 2, 3, smile! Nako, ayan, narinig ko na po yung click, so napicturean na tayo. Ang aking mga anak-anakan, nandito po, Maritoni, at ang aking pamangkin, si Elijah. Maraming salamat. Thank you, Edmund. Thank you, Charm. Thank you, partner. See you again next week. Maraming salamat. Bye, everyone. Bye.
Bye.